Live to a private stream that nobody has access to.
Except for Uncle Sam.
Yeah, yeah. Very nice. I'm gonna spook you.
What the hell else? There were other things. What do you think the odds of DJing being able to make it to Dragon Con now that he's been
I think
burgled?
he's. I think he's. I think you can ask him. I would assume he's
I don't want to
financially
touch
okay.
I don't want to touch that, but he's an emotional individual. He has
Yeah,
opinions, and when they aren't the ones that are about him, I don't want to get him stirred up about. But yeah, I definitely was hoping that I would have one nerdy black man
yeah.
because the other
Well,
one sure as hell ain't coming.
he's not fond of the.
He's
Well, he's
never
not
been
in
to
that.
it, and he doesn't like it.
I'm not really into like high fiving Peter Mayhew or like
Yeah,
doing the things that you do in DragCon, but I like Atlanta, and most of
yeah,
the time I spend in Atlanta, I didn't spend downtown,
yeah.
so I want to do some stuff. I mean,
There's some fun stuff to do at Dragon Con that don't involve celebrities or
well,
famous
yeah,
people,
Or
and
I mean,
you
there's
or
also
you
it's
could have Ryan take you to the Korean taco place. That was baller as fuck.
well, I know where that's at. That's not a problem. I got the Ryan's tour of the art
Oh
communities
yeah, you
of
were there.
yeah,
yeah, he's in there.
and you know I've been there other without her, which makes it a horrible hell hole of traffic. But now that I'm not driving there, I have the ability to just wander and get eaten by 20-foot roaches. But
Right.
I mean, getting a little back.
Yeah. No, no, I
Okay,
was just
there we go.
playing the preview of the stream.
But yeah, no, I was totally looking to see what like there's several arcade bars of
A
varying
barcade, if
degrees.
you will.
Yeah, but I like to put the arcade before the bar because a lot of barcades just have like a shitty Terminator 2 machine that's not
Yeah, there's
working
like
very
four
well,
machines and a bar, and
and
that
a
doesn't.
Galaga Pac-Man split. But
Yeah.
you can get
Where this
some,
is
and there's also some good drinks to have in Atlanta. And really, when I'm in the mix of all of you guys and other people, like when I'm hanging out with like when I go up and talk to John Strickland for the first time face to face, where I've had several conversations with that man, I don't want to be breathing booze on him because he's a man who doesn't drink one, and I want to be able to have a third conversation with him. So I want to do like my being an idiot off site or not in
yeah.
the presence of people that
John Strickland's a nice dude. Like,
he is.
like I've interacted with him pretty much every year there. He's good people.
And I need to talk to him about like prop making and like not prop making, but like building shit because he did a bunch of
Yeah.
Renaissance fair stuff, and that man probably knows how to weave chainmail. If I were a betting man,
I thought you
Yeah.
don't weave it; it's loops, and you interconnect the loops, don't you?
well, you weave the loops. It's a
Yeah, I
if you
guess
have one piece, you can. It's yeah,
it's
it's like crocheting armor,
knit once, purl twice, or whatever it is.
something like that. And most people skip the step where you put a pop rivet. They riveted everything back then. It wasn't a pop rivet, but they riveted every link.
Oh, to
But
like seal them together.
and it also, yeah, it was to make it so that it also didn't have a bunch of little holes, so that like pointy points still wouldn't be able to go, and it made it heavier and stuff like that. But that's just what the second edition combat and tactics guide taught me. But no, like there's Atlanta stuff that I really want to do. Like I need to get some high May time, but like everybody's gonna be stretched so thin or trashed to the point
Yeah.
where I don't want to hang out with them. So
That'll be me.
because I mean I can get trashed at home, but I can't talk to Tom Merritt about the time he got White Castle in Indianapolis because it was the closest thing from his college dorm room. And
Yeah.
he was like, I hopped on an interstate and drove until there was no more of that interstate. That was Interstate 74, and that White Castle sucks. I'm sorry, Tom Merritt.
Do we want to try to record? Because I will click record.
Well, I mean, you need to get stinger material too. So
Yeah.
just go ahead and click.
I'm trying to like see what's going on.
Okay. Pedro, I'm just gonna ultimately Dropbox this to you and let you have
Yeah,
your.
I'm also recording.
Okay.
It's
We'll have options.
that color of blue, that like robin's egg blue behind you, Petey, is just absolutely lovely. And like the tile floor, that nice off-white couch. That couch looks like some comfort. The wicker chair. Everything comes together. Like you've got that. Is it like a
HGTV
like home?
is strong in this one.
I see the home part. Is there a garden?
Outside though, there's definitely a garden
my
outside.
God.
Oh wow! I
That
know
is
there was
that is
like
Oh my
papayas or
God,
mangoes
no.
or something.
well, there is a mango tree, like legit. We have a
Please, Jay,
mango
don't say
tree.
it.
I don't like mangoes, so it's lost on lost on me. But there is a mango, and when that tornado, that little mild tornado hit us a while back, it was a hilarious scene outside.
Your F
Couldn't have the mango.
1.835.
Yeah. But the comedy of errors of PD's computer. I forgot. Let me tell you the story. Let me tell you a little story about a guy named PD, who shouldn't be allowed to make his own shopping decisions. So, first error. I decided to buy my case, my CPU, and my GPU from Newegg. I like Newegg, but I could have just bought all of these things from my job and returned it at work if there was an issue.
You would have paid a lot more, even with the discount.
No, the CPU would have been the same. The GPU would have been the same, or Amazon would have been cheap. Would have been the same. Like I've checked, it's more or less the same. But I ordered the case and the CPU and the GPU and the graphics card or whatever. Those three things. The case came first, and the other things came afterwards. Like they were separate. The case came in. I put everything in the case. Everything was fine. It was nice and pretty. Everybody was breathing. Everybody
Please
had
tell me it's
room.
the best of 5. Please tell me it's a best of 5.
His CPU was the best of 5.
Yes.
They handpicked it.
Yes. So.
Please, Lord, tell me.
Like the following Monday, I finally got the other two things. I was excited. I was going to get everything in there, and it was going to, have a new CPU and have an i7 and a 970, in there running awesome. I open everything. I go to install the new CPU. It takes to the moment I'm socketing the new CPU to realize I never bothered to check if this was the right socket for this motherboard when I was buying it. And it wasn't. It was an 1155. My motherboard's an 1150.
Those 5
So
pins
there's
make
that.
all the difference.
So there was that. Then I took that out, put the old pin, old CPU in there. Just put the old CPU and the old CPU fan in there and everything. Thinking, all right, I'll put everything back. Instead, I'll just focus on having the graphics card. It's like, all right, I'll have the new graphics card. I'll figure out something else. The situation with I'll try to return the CPU and do that, whatever. And then I get the thing I explained on the internet with well, actually, the first thing was I would turn it on, and then it would boot up. I would go sign in, and in the middle of me trying to say launch the GeForce experience to just go through the updates, it would just shut down. It would actually go blue screen. Thing whatever error unescapable error whatever I tweeted or whatever I said. It would start to go through a count up percentage process, but then just shut off. So obviously I messed up the CPU fan and it was overheating or something. I put everything back the way it was, and then I had the issue of it. What was it? I tried to put everything back the way it was, and I was still having the same issue. I tried. I tried to take it off, reapply. So that I bought some thermal paste at work.
Yeah.
Thermal paste at work, and I put some on, and I tried to get in there. In the process of getting in there, I broke the little plastic things on each of the feet of the CPU fan. Systematically, I should add. So, like one, okay, let me work around that one. Two, I was trying to do the rotating. Understand that I'm a big brute of just I'm an idiot. And I do things stupidly, just in general. So I broke that. I had to order a new CPU fan. This time on Amazon, so I got it like the next day. The new CPU fan, I put it in, and then I started getting the thing I mentioned. It would boot up. It would start to power on, and then it would power down, and power on, power down. So I make sure everything was tightened. And then when I started up, it got to the thing where just boot up, but nothing would happen. At that point, I wanted to try different things, but at that point, I figured, I knew that it was. I figured it's a motherboard because I went ahead and took off the power from the graphics card. Still, nothing would happen. It won't even add. Usually, it would say, "Hey, plug in the power on the graphics card, you moron," on the screen. It would say that. I know this because I forgot that a couple of times during the previous processes. But it didn't do that. And then I took out the memory and tried to boot it. No beeps or anything. So motherboard's fucked.
Yeah, if you pull memory and it doesn't beep, you're done.
Yeah. So,
Did you pull the little jumper, flash your BIOS?
I don't think I couldn't get to the BIOS. I couldn't get into anything.
There's 3 pins. You take a little jumper and you go from 2 pins to the other 2 pins. You wait for 5 seconds and then you jump back. It should restore everything, depending on what you got. Did you get like any solid conclusion to your woes?
I'm at this point. I'm on the motherboard thing. I'm just waiting on the other motherboard that I had ordered for the new CPU. Because Newegg won't let me return the CPU.
Yeah.
That's where buying it at work or Amazon would have been a lot better because I could have just taken. Okay, I accidentally bought the wrong thing here, and they were just like, okay, cool.
Research, Petey, next time. But good lesson.
Spending more than 5 minutes shopping.
Yeah.
Well,
learn.
Yeah.
I've fucked up stuff before. Usually computers I've been lucky on, fortunately.
Yeah, we had to go one night because we bought the wrong CPU for the socket of the motherboard that we had.
Yep.
So we were like, well, we're gonna sell this CPU on eBay. Now we've got to find a new CPU, and the only Micro Center was an hour and 5 minutes away, and they closed in 40 minutes.
Yeah, I remember this story.
Guess who made it there in 35?
Yesterday I got from Philly back to my house in 2.5 hours. I think that's my new personal record for now.
One time I purchased off of eBay a differential for a 300ZX of my car's model year. It ended up not being a differential for my car. I bought it for like $75, so it wasn't really a big loss. But from the month that was stamped on that differential to the month that was stamped on my car, on the VIN, they had changed the entire body style. So I got a 300ZX from 1989 differential, not mine from 1989 manufacturer year, 1990 model year. So I've got this differential sitting around, and then I ended up having to buy a differential that was
just the guts of a diff.
No, it was the whole.
Or like the whole.
Yeah.
You just have one of those ones like
the spindles.
has that you attach the axles to the sides of it. And
Yeah, it's got like spindles that run off. Yeah, I got the whole deal, and it wasn't it. So then I spent $1,700 getting another one.
Yeah.
Because for my exact model, people like to take those differentials out and put them into the twin turbo models because they have a different gear ratio. So they don't exist because everyone has been bought up. And they have a sensor on them that is about $500, and we got that one for that was still dangling off of it. And the guy said, "Here, take this. I've got it in a coffee can. When you sell the car, sell this separate, and it will only be worth more money." But he was I got passed around from one mechanic to another mechanic shop, ended up at a BMW race shop, who was more than happy to work on my car.
They were probably like, oh, something different.
Well, no, they had a bunch of stuff. When you're a mechanic in Indianapolis, you deal with race cars. That's just how it works.
It's probably a sign that they might actually be even good.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's every kind of car can be purchased in this town, so every kind of car has to be able to be worked on. That's why we have down the street from me is the Crazy Lotus shop, which by the way, I have a date to go drive that ridiculous 700 some on horsepower a Lotus.
Is it an Elise or
It is an Elise. It is, I believe. I haven't seen it yet. He picked it up from Texas.
Or the Exige, or whatever it is. Which is
it's definitely an Elise. Why
would you put 700 horsepower in an Elise?
Why would you not?
Because it's the world's fastest Elise now.
No, it's not. Everything John Hennessy makes is the world's fastest Elise.
I believe he purchased it from, what's that shop in Texas?
Hennessy?
Yeah, he purchased that, and let me find Dallas Reed.
He drank up all that he had on his shelf, and then introduced themselves.
K20 Elise. He bought it from King's. Yeah, because I was talking online. Here's the car.
It's not the one that's been...
The orange one?
No, there's another one that got wrecked, that got rebodied.
This
why
is
does this not load? Oh, wait, there it goes. So it's a Honda K20 boosted to 700 horsepower, basically?
Yeah.
This is more likely the world's fastest Elise because it's been rebodied because it got wrecked. And if you look at it in terms of how fast it'll go around like a road course, maybe not in a straight line, but that's because of aero.
He's actually been doing some. I don't know. He was tracking it last time, but yeah, I just a 9.48.
Yeah. This one is 680 horsepower and it's twin charged.
Yeah. He's also got another.
And a turbo.
He's got the Lotus that I did drive. He's got it. I think it's supercharged. He's running that at tracks now while his Gallardo's getting twin turboed.
I like how this guy's spending his money.
Yeah, he's got a Ninja 250R that he's trying to sell.
Yeah.
Why does he have there's so many better things you can buy to start with if you just have unlimited money.
His first car that he learned how to drive a stick on was his Lotus. His first car he learned to drive on was a Geo Metro. Because he's smart. He knows that if he had a motorcycle, he'd have more motorcycle than he could motorcycle. He's also not very tall, which is why he can drive. I can't drive his Lotus because I rub the brake pedal whenever I pump the clutch.
How tall is he? The Ninja 250 was perfect for me.
He's like 5'6",
I'm like
maybe.
I'm like 5'7.5" on a good day.
Yeah, he's not his Lamborghini is uncomfortable for me to sit in, and there's not even a motor in. All of his cars are. Surprisingly, the Vipers. Hampus Lagerberg being 6'8", could fit in that. Hampus can't drive the Lotuses, even though he wants to.
Is Hampus the one with the? Does Hampus have the Viper?
Yeah, he has a couple Vipers
and
now.
An SRT10.
And a GTO with 700 horsepower at the wheels.
God, you have the best friends.
They're okay. You hang out with rich people long enough, you start not wanting to hang out with them too much because everything just is to the extreme, and I don't know. The Hampus is a trust fund, baby. Dallas actually made a business and has like 30 employees and
Yeah,
earned all of his
you
money.
explained to me how he actually like earned his money at some point,
Yeah.
sort of.
He actually employs other people that I hang out with, but no, I like it's he's
Did
an
he
okay
come from
dude.
any money?
His parents
Like,
had
did
a
he
lot of
come from a
land.
little money, but then he used it and made his own thing?
When he was at Purdue, he invested in real estate, and I think that's how he was able to start his business.
So he came from some money and then made more of his own.
He's really smart with money.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, he had a little bit, he made it a little bit more, and then he made it a lot.
Yeah, I don't think any of it was not earned. I think he
Yeah.
because his family that I have met are like Duck Dynasty level hillbillies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's borderline Asperger's-y when you talk to him, but he's a good guy to know because he's like, if you need something hauled, I will haul it for you. But if you ask me for money, I don't know who you are, kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Like, which is smart. Like that's
Like, if you ask him for, hey, do you want to help me move? He's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do this.
yeah, he'll
bring
be
my
like, I'll
truck.
bring my F-350 or the fucking car hauler with a
But if
Corn
you're
Pro
like,
on
hey,
the
can
back.
I have $1,000? He'll be like, fuck you.
I could probably get $1,000 from him, but I'm not going
And
to
it
have
would be
him.
a
He's not
loan.
going to invest in a business. It's
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And he's not going to pay for my rent. If I broke my leg, he'd probably loan me some money until something happened. But yeah, that's one of those things when you deal with people with money. Everybody, that's it.
Yeah.
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 So, but he's very, very quick to tell people that, especially even on the forums, if you come to Indianapolis, he'll take you out in those cars. He will. And when I refuse to drive the Viper of Hampus's because I had been drinking. I'm like, I'm not driving a fucking car. But it's those are to the point where you go around a turn, you hit the gas, even in the wrong gear, you're gonna like spin out. So I just don't. I'm not good enough to drive those cars like they're made. So I'll sit in the
Yeah.
passenger seat and
You better be
die
good
there.
and sober.
Yeah. So
All right.
Are we
Petey,
gonna talk about
I
music?
think we're ready. I finally wrote my haiku.
Drew,
Oh,
are
God damn
you
it. Hold
ready?
on, then. Fucking.
I'm gonna lean back.
of course, the most important question of the night. Do you have the ability to sport with us later, Petey?
No. As far as like Rocket League, no, unfortunately.
You know what? I'm gonna take
This
2
is
seconds. I'll be right back.
this thing hung up when I was opening the audio properties to check the levels of the mic that I'm putting in. And when I put up recording devices, not responding for a good like minute or so. So yeah, I'm gonna say Rocket League is a no-go on this thing.
Do you
No, the Muffin Man, yeah, I met him last week.
do you know what time you get into Atlanta?
All right, let me look.
Saying that we got a minute when I want to talk more. While I remember what I have to ask Petey. Because obviously we'll never have another chance to talk to you before that comes. But.
Let me see. Let me see if Chrome will decide it wants to open a website.
All right, move.
Because I don't think my flight leaves until 2 in the afternoon.
Okay, I
on
think
Thursday. Which, I mean,
Alright.
my flight's a direct flight. It's going to be there shortly after that. So.
Okay, I think I'll sooner find this information by going to my room and grabbing my phone than this Chrome opening my Gmail.
All right.
That was probably very loud. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Oh, I hope this recording's loud enough. I don't know. I'm not an expert on this thing.
Well, as long as waves are wiggling and not just
Oh yeah,
wiggling when
there's
you're
audio, and if
talking.
I play it back, it actually sounds exactly like I hear it. But I don't. It's one of those things where most of them are small and in the middle, and they're not reaching the ends. But I think that's because they're not peaking too hard. And I guess you could probably boost it in post just fine if it's clean
Yeah,
audio.
but when you boost, you're boosting everything.
Yeah.
It's like, you'll get.
Petey will have fun with this one.
That's fine. The
And I think you're
technology
still in
is
there, so at
great.
least one of us will get a good recording.
And at least you're not going to tape. What's the sitch?
First of all, I went all the way to my room, got my phone, brought it back, and Chrome still hasn't opened my. On this.
Are you like recording on a
That's the biggest
potato?
proof. Yeah, it's this Lenovo all-in-one, one of those things. It's good enough,
It's
like I said,
newish.
for my. It's like from like the last year or something like that. It's just one of the
So
things. It's like
what, like an AMD or an i3 or something?
No, I think it's an Intel. I think from the sticker over here, it's an Intel Pentium. So
Oh, okay. Now I
it
understand what
was
you're
a
talking about.
cheap all-in-one. It's
Yeah,
a
and it's
thing.
perfect just to surf the
For
internet
me.
for.
Yes,
You
for
know.
my aunt.
Yeah,
For my mom.
it's probably perfect for her.
Not for me, but
Yeah.
again, this is extenuating circumstances. And there's my fight. It probably will also help if I put the microphone to my face.
Yeah,
We were
at least
getting
know what's going on.
some back slap. It was like a good, like hillbilly honky tonk record recorded in a room.
Petey, you'd be happy because the StarCraft tournament I'm watching is like a small tournament put on by a couple of casters, like small time casters in the scene, and it was all put on like with donations and stuff, and it's very Canada themed.
Yeah.
But the big thing is, instead of a trophy, they have a championship belt with all
Yes.
the like artwork that is like on the stream and like for the tournament and stuff.
Nice.
It's the hell it's a boot damn time
Yes.
championship belt, which
Nice.
as somebody who has played StarCraft before, the hell it's a boot time, you should get the
Nice.
reference, and I thought it was pretty damn funny. I was like, oh yeah, they have the belt. I didn't tell Petey they have a championship belt.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I land at 12:13, noon 13.
Noon 13 in the hour of the Lord.
Yes.
All right.
So,
That's cool. So
I'll martyr my way downtown, as usual.
I'm getting in really early. I got direct flights in and out of Harrisburg. I'm so happy.
Yeah.
the
Of course,
thing
I've
is,
got direct flights.
I could make a phone call and be like, hey, when Petey hits the front, this guy named Petey, whose name is not Daisy, give that man
Is that named Pedro Ravello?
give that man a room. But yeah, I just don't want. I was hoping that we were as close as we are at least, because standing around with your luggage, being like, "Where's Jaime's room? What hotel? Jaime? Let me put my shit in your way."
We're in the Ritz.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
Nice.
I've never stayed in. I've only been in and was kind of. I was glared at the Ritz pretty hard.
That's cool.
Nice.
You're going to be a lot of people getting glared at.
Bottle of Jameson with a girl.
Also,
I was drunk.
Also, the cool thing that happened yesterday was they were showing off the Martin Logan really, really boss. I think I keep forgetting which ones. It's like the big one with the wood around it. I think it's like the CX.
Like you got to
CLX.
speakers?
Yeah, they were demoing it for everyone throughout the day. Like they were nice. There was Chase from Martin Logan, hilarious dude. He's like just a dude from Jacksonville that liked Primus and knew all about speakers and stuff.
So they're just the panel speakers, or are they like an
They're
enclosed.
the full range electrostats. Like these.
Yeah.
Yes. I love electrostats.
Do you guys
Yeah.
sell Magnapan?
I don't know.
They're similar to that,
Yeah,
but I'm
that's,
assuming they're a lot less expensive.
My uncle's neighbor has a
these
set of
are I
Mods
think
for,
like
20 grand a pair.
These
I
are
think like
25 per pair.
Yeah.
yeah, the Martin Logan CLXs are about 25 and like stock, trim and whatever. 25, actually 25 each, like something like that.
Oh wow. 2,500 or
25 grand.
25,000.
25,000.
Okay. Yeah. So
The versions the trim that we had there were 80,000 a pair, from what I hear,
damn.
because they were like they were upgrades.
Here's the thing. So I realize they sound better than like
Oh, they were there to provide they were there for fun.
Yeah. But like
They were
that,
there
my
for fun.
whole
We have
experience with high-end electrostats where yes, they sound fucking amazing, and I can get 90% of the way there for $3,000.
That's not the person who's buying it. The person
No,
who's
and I
buying it
understand
has a room.
I could get a set of electrostat headphones for $3,000 and have that full experience. Get a set of stacks or something.
Well, we also have the other electrostats like the
Yeah.
Summit X's and the
Yeah,
Motions
they're cool.
and
Electrostatic speakers in general.
Electromotion. Yeah,
But yeah,
so
like
that's
the
the
whole
beautiful thing. It's
notion-
like, okay, hey, check out this really awesome speakers. Also, we carry things that are a lot less expensive, but still have this technology and are more or less just smaller versions and smaller scale versions of this in
get
your
headphones
budget.
that are that.
But you can't
that
share
tame.
your
Oh my
experience
God.
with headphones.
I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like,
That's-
it depends on what
You
you're
still
going with.
can't
I'm a
show
music
off
person.
headphones
my
in a room
my audio
with
system
really
for
awesome.
movies is the
Yeah,
most
it'd be like-
pieced together thing. I've got a set of Infinity 7-inch bookshelves on top of
Yeah,
a set of vintage Zenith floor speakers that I just have set to do the low end because I don't have a sub. I have a Polk, like a mid-grade Polk center. I have cheap Polks for my rears. It sounds
Yeah.
fine, but
It ain't gonna impress the blonde from down that.
no. Swagger, you're not my customer in Magnolia.
oh, I know. I'm familiar with the whole Magnolia thing. I get it.
So
I'm
your
cheap and
customers
I know
are
stuff.
Brazilians?
I don't know. I haven't been on the floor. Actually, we do have a good range of stuff. Like we have everything from the DefTech Pro Cinema 600s and the little Pro monitors and those kind of things and
There's a lot of the TVs in there are not that ridiculously high end. Like there's some $3,000 stuff. Like
we
just
have
nice-
the same the TVs in Magnolia Design Center and the TVs on home what they can get over there. There's no difference. It's like we can get a really crazy one.
$10,000 XBRs.
Yeah. And they could probably OMS the same thing too.
Oh, you
That's
can
not the point of Magnolia
We could
Design
order
Center.
stuff my store didn't have Magnolia, but we could order Magnolia.
But what Petey has at his store are people in Brazil who, if they buy something in Brazil that is not made in Brazil, they have to pay 3 times the sticker price.
Yes.
Yep, so
But they can
just-
travel to Miami.
Yes. So that's the thing.
Jaime does that shit all the time.
Well, yeah, like a PlayStation 4 costs $2,300 in Brazil.
Say it properly. A Play 4. A Play 4
In
costs-
Brazil.
Espas one, or how do they say that? Espas?
They don't.
Or the
I've
other
never
one.
heard an Xbox play. It's all play. Also, it's all Bose. If it's not in Magnolia. Bose.
Bose. Okay.
I need to get a.
Which is okay. Bose, I get the question, Bose is the best, right? How do I say it this the nice way? Brain thing is how do I say no in the nice way that doesn't count as me disparaging a brand?
Best advertising.
Bose has a very unique sound and it's very beloved.
That's the most bullshit answer I've ever heard. I love it. I wish I still worked in retail so I could say that, except that I don't want to go back to working at my Best Buy ever again. I didn't like that place. But I want to say that to someone.
That's a
a
funny
great
thing.
line.
It's my last thing before we start recording, I would say that's a funny thing I get because I think I'm one of the luckiest people because my Best Buy actually really is cool, and everybody gets along.
Mine was
Like, it is one of the coolest
the
places to
first
work.
year I was there. The first year I was there, we had a blast. We had a great group of people, and it just went downhill as I worked there. Everybody left.
Yeah.
We went through a couple of GMs. I think they're on number 3 or 4 in the last 4 years.
Yeah, we're going through a GM change, which sucks because our GM was awesome, but he took a better job.
Ours got fired for
And
a lot of things, among others.
yeah,
fucking
no, ours was
employees.
never yeah. Ours was never in danger of being fired because we all loved him. He did a great job and he was cool. Like he created a great environment. It just he went up. Like he went, I think, to like district manager or something like that.
I liked our GM, the first one who was fucking employees, but he was not a good GM. He was just fun to work with sometimes.
Yeah. All right. So that being
Talk
said,
about some
Drew, you look good. Won't you back that?
box.
let's talk about a place where we can put our our little like wax discs to light them on fire and light the night.
Drew,
Huh?
podcast time.
Yes. Sorry. Ace matches.
All right.
Let's stick to our lanes. Let's destroy the creep.
Go ahead and below the belt.
And
You don't take me
Cookie.
for one of those League of Legends fans, do you? Because
Somebody take jungle.
swear to God.
I'm playing Wisp, everybody.
Yeah.
And Wraith King.
Yes.
I'm just gonna clap so we know where the podcast starts. Ish.
Uh,
There you go,
All right.
Petey. And probably a sound noise profile too. And I guess let's make a podcast.
I'm
Alright,
You
a
didn't
right.
do it right. You didn't do it right. You didn't do it right. You didn't do it right.
Oh, Pedro, do the honors.
Okay.
He
Undo set?
hold it between your legs.
You say it and I will clap. You say it.
I can do this. I can do it. I do have a table stand here. Undo set.
There we go. Now I feel like I can podcast.
I knew Hannah Doucette. She was a cute girl.
Yeah.
And she
Let's buenos these nachos, Pedro.
All right. Record breakers in 3, 2, 1. Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to a very weird episode of Record Breakers. I'm Petey Rave, your man with no plan and no computer right now. Here with me, of course, is my crew. Right here in this corner, we have none other than Brett.
I'm here on the 40 meters, beaming into you. Stop.
Yes. We've got Drew.
Hey, what's going on?
And we've got Patrick.
I think I'm recording this, which is weird.
I think we're alone now.
I hope so, or we're
anyone
going to
around.
lose another episode. Should be episode
and
3
we'll-
we would have lost.
Yes. But that's this episode is a special episode, an odd episode. We're kind of having issues, technical difficulties, not unlike the AAA wrestling promotion. We're having technical difficulties.
Or like that Racer X song.
Exactly. But we would hate to lose this episode because we're going to talk about some fun. We're talking about a really cool band, a really cool album. My pick, I'm the one that picked this album, is Candlebox. We're talking about Candlebox's self-titled debut, 1994 album. Kind of was a nice little piece of the what eventually became the post-grunge puzzle of quite a few bands that came like in the mid-90s. That first phase that eventually became the next phase for a bunch of really bad stuff. But some interesting bands in that time, and Candlebox was one of those really cool, interesting bands. I like this album because I sing a couple of songs to from this album in karaoke. I remember listening to these songs when I was however old I was at the time. on 94.9 Zeta. Listen to quite a couple of these songs amongst other things. It's just a sound I remember fondly, and an album that I still dig. And mainly, I was just curious to see what y'all would think. Let's start with Patrick. Patrick, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
I know Candlebox's hits. I know they have that song where they go, yeah, 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 yeah. Except it's not quite that, but that one. And I've heard some Candlebox. I've never listened to a record of them. I just know they're kind of in that mid '90s grungy, but with a little more metal thrown onto it kind of sound.
Drew, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
Well, I knew way less than Patrick over here did. I knew next to nothing. I knew the name of Candlebox. I knew they came in that sort of almost mid '90s like Seattle sound, and that they were the bands that weren't the name, but they were one of those ones that was like right up there. It wasn't your Nirvanas, your Pearl Jams, your Stone Temple Pilots. But it was like right there on the cusp of being remembered as that, and it was a name that within the rock community, within the grunge community, was well respected. But that's about what I knew about Candlebox.
Brett, I'm curious. What expectations did you have coming into this album?
I was a little more familiar. I was there when it happened. Actually, my the guy who was my first guitar teacher, he was about 16 at the time and had a Candlebox songbook of this album, and was working through it through the entire time that he was teaching me. I was never into Candlebox at the time. I preferred either harder or grungier bands, and shortly after, I went whole hog on the punk scene. But a couple of these songs get radio play regularly on every single day that I'm at work. So I've never had to dig into it because so much of what you hear is on here. But I was looking really forward to listening to this to shore up the gaps because this album has a lot of songs on it.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it has a lot of songs and a lot of style. It has one big style with a lot of peppering in of other kind of styles. It's very post-grunge. Kind of laid the groundwork of what was going to become the sound for the mid '90s, like on rock radio, like your Collective Souls and your like later Silverchairs and your kind of like other bands of the like, your Seven Mary Threes, and stuff like that. Yeah, those some names. I remember some names.
Dude, what about Temple of the Dog?
Temple? No, that was before.
Temple of the Dog
but
it's
it's
by like 5 years.
I when it comes my turn, I have opinions about the sound of this album.
But yeah, and of course, like is what known as post grunge. It builds off of what was constructed throughout the grunge kerfuffle, and this album adds a lot of different sounds. It adds a little bit of different mixes of other stuff like rock and roll, a little bit of blues, but mostly just subtle things, mainly post grunge with peppering and some other cool like diverse affectations, if you will. But I'm curious how you guys, because I'm not very good at verbalizing things, so I'm guessing you guys will have some better thoughts. Patrick, I'll go to you. What themes and elements caught your attention about this record?
This is dollar store Alice in Chains is the sound I would describe. It is not Alice in Chains, but it is trying to be that sort of, don't call it grunge, but it has a lot of grunge to it, but it's a little more metallic than say Nirvana or Pearl Jam or Soundgarden, where they're sort of, it has a little more of the guitars being a little heavier. There's a distinct likeliness that these guys really, really loved 80s metal, both like thrash and the hair metal scene. Like I feel like they're trying to be their own Guns N' Roses more than anything, more than like the rest of the Seattle sound.
I'll have you know, Guns N' Roses was neither metal nor hair.
They had hair. They came from LA. They sort of latched onto the tail end of that scene.
They
And
kind of rebelled against everything that stood for in every way, but that
and
neither here nor there.
yeah. It's there are good songs on this record, and they're all the ones you probably already know. But it sounds sometimes an album from this era still sounds really good to me, and sometimes an album from this era sounds like everything that made this era end. And I feel like this leans a little heavily on the this was the downward slope of the grunge graph.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting way to put it. Drew, what would be some of the themes and elements that caught your attention?
Wow, I thought I was going to be the one that was going to be the dick about this record, but apparently I'm wrong. Um, so, so yeah, it's post grunge, but to me, when I listen to something, if I'm like, it's more of the tone. What tone am I getting out of it? And this is right in the wheelhouse of that '90s grunge movement. It just is. And that's fine. But the good thing about this is it has a little more flair to it. It's got the tone and it gets the overall feel of a grunge record, but it lets itself explore a little more. It lets itself go more places than, say, your Pearl Jams or your Nirvanas might go. Right? There are actual guitar solos. Let me say that again. There are actual good guitar solos. And I was very, very surprised by that. Um, and I would say that Kenyon Martin. No, wait, wrong Martin. Kevin Martin. Basketball fans can get a chuckle out of that one.
Yeah.
My that was for Petey specifically. Kevin Martin, to my ear, is probably a better singer to come out of that era of Seattle than a lot of them. He sounds really solid, at least on this. And I would put him up against any of them to come out of Seattle at that time, and he could stand the test of them. And that was really cool to me. But grunge is still not my thing. It just isn't really. The genre is not my cup of tea. And like when Brett is reviewing something from Patrick, I kind of knew I was gonna be hunting for some gold in them there hills, and I think I found some. It was really overall fun for me to do that, go into a genre I'm not really huge on, and see what I could pick out. It still, for my ear, ended up a little bit sounding like, I've heard it before, but at the same time, there were parts where it would veer off in the left field, and I was like, oh, okay. I get why this is different, and I get why they have a right to be in what this is.
Brett, I'm curious. What themes and elements caught your attention about this record?
You know, my notes, who needs notes? I wrote a bunch of stuff, who needs it? Because you guys are wrong. This was like in the era of grunge. Grunge was still selling T-shirts at every store. People were still into stuff. 1994, there was no post yet. This is a band that is a rock band that had a producer that was like, we can't sell rock. We got to grunge it up. So this is an album that, like, if it came out in 1989, would have been able, this album completely through, even the blues song would have stood on its own without a single grunge tone to it, or adding to the culture of the town that it was from. They were just too late, and that stuff just wasn't selling because the grunge movement wasn't about skill. It wasn't about being the best musician. It was being about the best performer. And these guys have more of like a Black Crowes feel to them than Pearl Jam. They're definitely not, they're better musicians than the genre that they got bundled with. But I think they were doing something to get themselves the most play that they possibly could, because they were never going to be included into the genre's real, tight group of people. 1994, there were still, a lot of good grunge albums that sold a lot of good money, during that year and following years, and it wasn't until people started dropping off or completely trying to change their sound that we sort of grabbed a hold of stuff on a major way. But I remember at that time being like, there are some bands that just don't have the same sound, and this is one of those. I think that there was just no place for at that time. You were either rock or you were alternative, and this is somewhere in the middle where they just were a little too slow to get to the scene, or they didn't wait long enough. But I really think that this is an album that is a story of a band with the wrong genre slap to it. That being said, of the parts in it, there are guitar solos. There are very, very long songs. Not really a thing that I think of with the contemporaries of the time.
Right.
And there's tone. Even though they do fart it up some, there's it's not completely stomp as the backing percussion. It's got something there to it. They definitely were told to go in a certain tonal range, and I think if this was produced differently, this would be a completely different album.
To back that up, I brought up Nirvana and Pearl Jam because those are the grunge names, right? But there's that other band that's the offshoot that I always thought was better musicians all around as far as that goes, and that was Stone Temple Pilots. And I was getting more Stone Temple Pilots than I was the other grungier acts.
Yeah. And they
From
were also
these
a band
guys.
that had to like sound like other people and then decided not to sound like other people
Right.
because they got made fun of by somebody, one of the VJs that said like, it was like, oh crap. It was whoever was hosting, I think, one of those shows that they had all the alternative bands on there. I don't remember.
Ricky Rackman. Adam
maybe.
Curry.
Oh God, Adam
somebody-
Curry. Let's not bring up Adam Curry. He'll make fun of us, and then
This was long after Adam's time. He was too
of
busy
course.
buying up domain names at this time.
Yes,
Trying to-
exactly.
try to sing our theme song.
Might have even been Ricky Rackman. I don't know. Well, let's not delve
Serena
into that.
Alchul. Kurt Loder.
Yes, let's just throw out names.
Kurt
Puck.
Loder,
It was Puck. It was totally Puck.
Carson Daly. Like, why are we naming these people?
I don't know, because I'm in this room, because I got throw pillows.
It was Senior Pinfield. But yeah, you do have some throw pillows. Throw it
Pinfield?
to
Is
someone,
that
Petey.
that's the name we're gonna bring up.
Yes.
Pinfield.
All right, moving on. Moving on to those thoughts. Songs. There's some obvious songs to pick out, of course, like things like Left Behind, You. Those like the singles. There's also some really cool songs like Change, that has a really cool sound to it. There's remember correctly, Mother's Dream. Because I don't have the song names in front of me. I'm just remembering out
Mother's
from memory. There's things like Cover Me. It's just some really cool tracks that I think have some really cool range once you kind of drill down to them, including, like I said, the songs that I sing in karaoke regularly when I'm at karaoke. I haven't been in a while. I really need to go back, like Far Behind and You, which are just rad to like belt out like an idiot at karaoke in front of a bunch of people who are lost and confused and want you to get off stage. But you don't care because you're having fun. But yeah, some cool tracks. Patrick, what would be some of the key tracks that caught your attention, good or bad?
So like I said, I didn't hate every song on this record. The singles are kind of good, maybe partially because they are the soundtrack of my childhood. Like, You is a song that like I've heard 1,000 times on alternative radio, and it still gets played. It's got a decent hook. You totally understand why it was a hit song. Like, it is how to make a pop rock song in the 90s that's going to sell a bunch of records. Listen to You. And Far Behind. It's probably I suspect the song they close their shows with, or it's the one that everyone's there to hear, because that's Far Behind is the song I personally associate with Candlebox. And this is what I wrote about. I said, this is a good example of a simple song that is more than the sum of its parts. Like, all together, it just works and it ends up being a good song.
Mm-hmm. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks that caught your attention?
Well, popping off really quick was Don't You. on the album to me. Like it popped out to me really quickly because it sounded like it was a bit ahead. Like Brett alluded to, if there was alt and there was rock before there was alt rock, and before like alternative rock radio was a thing, and I feel like if Candlebox would have made their name in the late '90s instead of the early '90s, something like "Don't You" would have been the hit more than "Far Behind." And then getting to Far Behind, there was something underlying there that was good, but it was like it kind of meandered for me up until the guitar like came in and was freaking great. I would love more of that. And then the part that got me and like sort of let me know like where these guys were as far as like a headspace goes was Arrow. It's they came out. Candlebox came out in This album came out in '93, if I've got my years correct.
94.
And
It came
'94.
out in 94. They started recording in 93, but yeah.
Okay.
I think
Well, even so, like that block of years, right? And all their peers from their area, the Seattle scene, pretty much. This song feels to me like a giant contradiction to all of them, because they weren't that scene wasn't caring about being musicians, right? And those type of musicians, when they go into the studio, it's let's bang out the song and like let's get it out there and let's be done. Whereas that Arrow felt like they sat in the studio and really thought it through. It's the difference between the punk band going into the studio and like a rock band going into the studio trying to create while they're in the studio. And that to me was cool and enough to set them apart from all of their peers in it. Even if it wasn't for me, like this is the song that like I can look at and be like, okay, this is a band that might not hit my regular rotation, but damn it, I respect you. So
that's kind of like what you said about Lady Gaga. I hate your
yeah,
guts, but goddamn, I respect you.
god damn it, I respect you.
That's a nice thread to need to I'll forget the verb. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks?
Well, let's go with the hits, because this album is something that is nothing if not memorable in the fact that the 3 songs get played on the radio sometimes. A lot of there's a reason why the wheat got pulled from the chaff, and it's such a very broad mix of songs, because Far Behind, is it's a song that's haunted guitar centers across space and time. It does have some earworm quality, but it's nothing that I automatically find as good. I think of it more as filler in rock radio between the shorter tracks that get played more often. It's simple and 5 minutes long. It is a time-filling song, but it had a guitar solo that shouldn't be understated. But overall, it's not all bad. Rain it is straight up blues jam. The guitar work is pretty cool. It's no more or less cool than your regular jam session at the Slippery Noodle on a Friday night. But I kind of, this was the point where I was like, the added heaviness and grunginess that was tacked on made this song less of a good thing. At the time, it's probably the thing you would do to sell, to get a platinum single, or something. You had to do some stuff, but I think that this song would have stood on its own without the added, extra square waves thrown at every guitar and bass. But Cover Me. This is a song that came about 5 years too late. It did not impact as much as it could have, although it did. If you shuffled up the drums and put a little less grunge tone, you would have had a very 80s GNR-esque, like, strum rock. Let's I hate to do this, but let's go to just how weird this album is to try and like how this band probably had trouble figuring out what genre they wanted to be in. Here's a list of the bands that this band Candlebox has toured with. From the Wikipedia article, we have
Let's do
such
this.
bands as Living Colour, The Flaming Lips, Our Lady Peace, Rush, Henry Rollins, Aerosmith, Godsmack, Metallica, Radiohead, The Offspring, Sponge Seaweed, Hinder, Suicidal Tendencies, and Danzig.
I have
Trust
no
me,
kidding.
Yeah,
I've no
that
kidding
genre.
seen 5 of those bands live. Well, technically, I saw Henry Rollins just being Henry Rollins, but still.
Yelling
I-
about things. Yep.
I mean, in what world is Danzig and Rush gonna be like? You know, or Living Colour and The Offspring and Hinder. But it's just this album. It has all the pieces. All these songs have all the pieces to a puzzle. It's just the wrong puzzle. It's back when if the music industry was like it is today, a broken mess where there's way more noise out there and nobody's curating sounds. This album may have been made differently. It still probably wouldn't rock my world, but it would be a different thing than the music industry of the early to mid '90s. And damn, these songs, I'm still surprised somebody is telling the radio stations to play these, and they're still making plenty of royalties off of these songs. Because if you look on their producer credits for this album, Candlebox got a producership on this album, so at least everybody's still getting some money. But man, I'm glad that is a time that came and went, and another band that this harkens back to. They could have been Ugly Kid Joe. They could have been, but they weren't.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but let's go back around the horn, get some final conclusions. Patrick, what would you say is your conclusion about the album overall?
This album sounds like it's time, which isn't all bad, honestly. Like, I love a lot of music. 1994 is one of the great years in music. Just how many legendary albums were released. There's a lot. I think in that crowd, this gets a little overshadowed, but it's an album that has its moments. It has some good songs. They can play their instruments, which, like Brett said, this is, like I enjoy Nirvana more than a lot of people, but I'm not one of those Nirvana people. But like Nirvana's strength was not their musicianship. It was Kurt wrote really, really like good songs that people liked. Dave Grohl hit the shit out of drums, and Chris Novoselic could play bass line. That was Nirvana. It wasn't about their musicianship. This band plays better than that. But the style just doesn't do it for me. But go listen to it. As Brett would say when he's trashing one of my albums, go listen to it and form your own opinion.
Yeah.
I told nobody to listen to
Glassjaw. I know.
Glassjaw. Let it be known.
Nobody
needs to.
Nobody knows that though.
Well,
Nobody knows that.
Well, we did do the makeup.
I think I've spent more time referencing my review and how it's like it was like a better. It was worse than a fart through a tuba. Than the entire length of the actual recording of that episode. So,
yes.
I think people know our opinions on said album. And Squiggles, by the way. Guess what? He didn't like it. But,
yes.
Yeah.
That being said, Drew, what is your conclusive thought on this album?
Like I said, this is a tone and a sound that's not really for me, but the musicianship is there. There's music you can go into and definitely respect it, and that's sort of what I get out of this, and that to me is really, really cool. If you're one of those, gonna speak to an audience I'm not 100% sure we have, but if you're one of those, I'm speaking of the demographic. If you're one of those kids that feels cool now because you're listening to, say, Nirvana or Stone Temple Pilots, and you don't know Candlebox, but you love those grunge bands, and you haven't really dived into it, do yourself a favor and do it, because the sounds and the musicianship might open your mind up to more things to come. And that to me is really cool. When a group of musicians can do something in any genre that can then open up other genres, respect for sure.
And Brett, what would be your conclusive thoughts on this album?
Well, only Sith deals in absolutes. So, this, if you're the age, let's say, closer to myself and Petey's age, or slightly older, or if you're a weirdo that was into things that came before you, you probably have heard most of what needs to be heard off of this album. If you want to dive deeper, dive deeper. It's not going to hurt you. It's obviously not the worst thing we've had you listen to, audience member. But if you weren't there, if you did not remember that time when you couldn't get on, well, you could, but music was so much different back then. The industry was different. The way people got noticed was different. Go back and put your mind in the place where this album would have songs on the Airheads films soundtrack, or other such notable uses of Steve Buscemi. I don't know. But listen to it. It's not going to rock your world. If it does, tell me. But I'm gambling that when let's just say Squiggles, the everyman.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes.
I was gonna say.
We're not using Squiggles as the everyman.
He's the measuring stick for the audience, I guess.
We're not using.
Well, he's our sole audience member.
Literally.
So let's be honest.
Well,
but
okay, Squiggles, I love you. Don't get this twisted. We're not using literally the whitest kid I know.
who's 23 years older than he really is.
Yeah, I mean the kid's not even able to drink legally in most places. But no, I mean, go listen to this. I mean, it's out there. It's readily available, kinda. If you know where to look, you can find it. It should be known that this album is sort of chunked up, and like there's probably a story behind why it's so difficult to find of all albums, this one. But go find it. It's a thing, and you need to know it. It's good for you.
Yeah. It's definitely worth checking out. I think it's not. I wouldn't put this on a pedestal like I would other albums, like I would The Clash, and I would other kind of things like that I put on the show. And I've mainly put this on the show just to see what you guys would think, just because this is a really cool, interesting album that does work on a few levels, and it has songs I like and I sing, even though my voice is terrible. And I do it for fun. It has a lot of fun elements to it. Has a lot of fun songs, quite a few fun songs. I still enjoy listening to it on the way to work, from Spotify, and just kind of jamming out to it. And I think it's worth checking out. You might dig it. You might be able to add a few songs to your grunge playlist, your 90s playlist, or your post-grunge playlist, whatever it is. And you might be inspired to check out some other cool bands from that time, like I said, Collective Soul, or other bands and stuff.
Pennsylvania's Own Live.
Or when we were listening to this before the show started, Shakira.
Yes.
That was a great little mix-up between two like-minded musicians.
Yes, exactly. Yes. That being said, it's a fun album worth checking out. It may not be your cup of tea, and it's not exactly world-changing, but it's a cool little record. And I think that's all I would have to say about that album. Now we get into the main event of the evening. And it's not these throw pillows. Those are just icing on the cake.
Those are ballin' ass throw pillows, though.
I got to give you credit. The throw pillows are on point.
I'm
all
just down
credit
with
goes to my
the
aunt.
robin egg blue wall, and the drapery is just absolutely stunning. But
All credit goes to my aunt Magali, Maggie. She did all this. She's a fantastic decorator. Spends her days that she's not at work watching HGTV. So it's it's her thing.
I just realized I used the term ball and ass and throw pillows in the same sentence. Can we please move on to haikus?
Well, hold on. I got to
Yes.
get some bomb ass Pentecostal music over your way.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes.
I'm still waiting
Yes.
for some bomb ass Pentecostal music.
God, if we titled these episodes, we don't. If we titled these episodes "Ball and Ass Throw Pillows" would be the title of the episode.
That should be the first title of the episode. Is ball and ass throw pillows.
But I don't like change.
Title it like an episode of Rocky and Bullwinkle, Candlebox, Candlebox, or Ball and Ass Throw Pillows.
Right. Or
that being said, let's move on to our haikus. Let's pull ourselves together.
adult. Okay.
Let's go same order. Patrick, what is your haiku?
Band from Seattle, discount bin Alice in Chains, milk toast scrunch metal.
Drew, what is your haiku?
Went in for silver, but found a few pieces of gold in the hill.
Brett, what is your haiku?
It ain't all that bad. Solid rock and roll music. It just ain't the grunge.
And my haiku, post-grunge music, man. Touches of diversity, some cool hard rock sounds. And that's it for our thoughts on Candlebox and their self-titled album. Go check it out. It's on the Spotify playlist. We'll make it work. It's a weird thing. It's in part of a collection, so we'll just have to put it one by one or something. I don't know how it works. It'll be on there. Also on there is going to be the next album, and it's going to be provided by none other than Patrick. Patrick, what do you got for us next week?
So it's still summer, and I want to bring you one of my favorite albums of the summer because it feels like an album of the summer to me. Best Coast and their album California Nights.
That's going to be an interesting discussion. I don't think we'll have the throw pillows then, but I might steal them. Who knows? I might put them in my room just for fun. That being said, that brings us to the end of another fantastic episode of Record Breakers. Of course, you can find us all over the internet. Patrick is at Swagger. Brett is at HibbityBibbard, HIBBITYBIBBARD. Drew is at X2X. I'm at Petey Rave. The show is at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4. Record Breakers. RecordBreakersPodcast.com. RecordBreakersPodcast@gmail.com. If you want to email us, Rebelli.net for this and other shows. Rebelli TV on YouTube. We're on iTunes, Stitcher. Like I said, YouTube. Subscribe, share. Let people know we're here doing fun stuff if you enjoy the show. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Bye, y'all.
Oh, come on.
Toodaloo. Jesus.
We got to have at least some sense of normalcy.
The word for that is normality, but I will accept. In a world where Webster's dictionary has interpretate and supposedly.
Interpretate?
I'm not sure about interpretate. Interpretate.
I will kill somebody. I will go out tonight. Murder Aaron Rodgers. Don't know why Aaron Rodgers.
No, Aaron Rodgers. Well, the fact that you're being the benefactor of your crime would be the Bears. I can't hold with that.
Wait, why can't I connect to
No
this?
can
Is
do.
Steam
I'm
down?
going to go see if there's food. I'll be back.
Can somebody confirm or deny that Steam is down?
Let me go to Steam and let me launch Steam. I asked for more Steam, but they wouldn't give me any more Steam.
Because I'm obviously talking to you guys. But I can't connect to the Steam network.
Is there an is Steam down?
Is Steam down?
Steamstat.us. Steam client connections are down. Well, shit.
Well-
Whale shit. What the fuck am I gonna do with my life at 8:50?
Apparently not play Rocket League, which was
Oh, is Steam.
what I was hoping
Steam,
to
like,
do.
actually down?
Steam is
Steam is
down.
down.
Does it mean we're gonna get a sale?
I
No.
doubt it.
Is it
It's
like
probably.
Apple?
It just means Steam is down.
It just
I'm
means
online.
that like fucking somebody pissed off somebody that has a bunch of
Oh,
computers.
it's experiencing a heavy load right now.
Are you online? Do you see other people?
Okay, yeah. Ben Franklin's playing Rocket League. Rabbit Badger's playing Brothers. A Tale of Two Sons, whatever that is. Ash
That'd
is
be
playing
Brothers?
King's Quest. Isn't King's Quest from like?
No, they
Whatever.
redid King's Sierra Online, or Sierra is not a thing that exists anymore.
That's what I was gonna say. Didn't Sierra die?
Yeah, I'm gonna play some Red Baron 2. After that, I'm gonna do some fucking the Police Quest. I don't know what else did Sierra make, like a bunch of
My
Disney
brother
shit.
was really, really into Police Quest. There was like a more military game they did that was like Police Quest, but
Doesn't matter. Because the best adventure game of all time
Oh yeah,
was
I
made
know.
by Tim Schafer, and it was called Full Throttle.
No, the
Anything
best
else?
one, best adventure game was made by Sierra, and it starred the titular character Leisure Suit Larry.
Nope. You're wrong. It's a
I am incorrect. I preferred Maniac Mansion, but it was also Tim Schafer. So I mean, you're not all wrong.
I mean we are all wrong always.
And really, Frog Fractions
I just wish
stands on its own.
I just want Full Throttle to have a new game come out for it. Because like adventure games are starting to become a thing again.
They were a thing, and then they stopped being a thing again because
All right.
you can